everybody. Happy Monday, morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you are joining us from in the world today. My name is Meg Alexander. I'm part of Power to Fly's hosting team, and I could not be more excited to join you for another fabulous Power to Fly chat and learn event. Now, before we dive into questions and dive into our event today, I just want to say, go over some quick housekeeping items. These might be especially helpful if you haven't joined us for an event in a while, in which case, welcome back. Or maybe this is your first event with Power to Fly, in which case, we're so happy to meet you. Welcome. So the biggest thing you should know about these events is that we want y'all to feel free to participate. You can do that in a couple different ways. You can turn your smiling, turn your cameras on, share your smiling maskless faces with us safely if you'd like. But no need to be Instagram perfect, y'all. I think I'm probably the poster child for this today. We do not care if you are coming to us from your living room couch or a corner office, whether you are in a three-piece suit or three-piece pajamas. We don't care. Please, please feel free to meet us where you are today. Now, if you have any kind of privacy concerns or anything, totally understandable. As long as you don't come off mute during today's event, you will not show up on the live stream or the recording. Now, you can also participate in a different way if you don't want to come on video, totally fine. You can always add questions or comments into the group chat. So I'd love to see that happen. I love when we have an active chat session, and that way people can connect with each other. So to get us started, drop us a line in the chat, y'all. I want to know where you all are joining us from. I'm coming to you from Toledo, Ohio. This is land that was belonged to the indigenous peoples of the Fox and Kickapoo tribes in my area. So if you want to share where you are calling us from, or if you know whose land you're on, let us know in the chat thread. I would love to see how far our virtual audience spreads. Oh my gosh, y'all, Cape Town, South Africa. We've got Columbus, Ohio. Wow. And Sanitas, Denver. Oh my gosh, loving this, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, so to dive on into our event here, the last couple things I want to talk about are the recording. So I mentioned today's sessions being recorded. What that means for you is you don't have to take notes. You get to sit back, you get to enjoy the conversation between Jasmina and myself, and you don't have to worry if you missed a reference or a resource or a link that someone shared. Now, everybody who registered for this, whether you showed up or not, hi to future people from the past, or whether you join us for 5 minutes, doesn't matter. Everybody that registered is going to get an email from Power to Fly in about 1 to 2 business days. And that email is going to have a link to where you can rewatch this recording when it's posted to our website. Now, let's say Jasmina says something so unbelievably just paradigm shifting, mind blowing, you cannot wait to share it with a friend or a coworker or a relative. You don't have to wait 1 to 2 business days. You can always head over to our YouTube channel. I'm going to share the links for all of this with y'all in the chat thread in just a couple minutes here. But you are always welcome to head over to our YouTube channel. The live stream, the recording is posted within about 5 to 15 minutes of the end of the live stream. And there's a huge segment of our recorded chat, like our library and archives are there as well. So you can search, share videos, watch them for free, whatever you'd like to do. Now, one thing that I want to highlight for each of y'all is Power to Fly's mission, right? So our mission and our metric, our goal is to have, gender parity in the workforce, equal pay, true representation, belonging, and inclusion for everyone at work. Now, we can't do this on our own, and we're hoping that you, by nature of being here, hopefully you care about those things too, and you might help us with that goal. So if you'd like, please feel free to take a photo, take video, share it out to your social media network that you are learning with Power to Fly today. Anything we can do to get these resources in the hands of as many people as possible is, something we are in favor of. So please feel free, spread the word, share the love. We all want to work to be a better place, and we do that by educating everybody and raising all boats at once. So if you'd like to, please feel free. We'd love to reshare, retweet, whatever. You can tag us at Power to Fly, or you can use our hashtag Power to Fly. Now, our speaker here is here today on behalf of ScienceLogic. Now, I'm going to share their company page with y'all in just a moment here, the link to it. But it looks like what you're looking at now. So this is ScienceLogic's company page on powertofly.com. You can learn more about their open roles here. Obviously, you can check out past events that they have partnered on with us. You can also look at the about information to get more info about their company values, or why ScienceLogic might be the place for you. So I definitely recommend you check out this page. But one thing, on all of our company pages on Power to Fly, at the top right-hand corner, there is a big pink button and it says follow. Now, that button does a lot of really great things for you. But effectively what it does is if you click it, you join the follow network for that company. And it basically works like your friend at ScienceLogic. So it's going to tell the ScienceLogic team, even before you fill out an application, that you are interested in working with them. This is especially great for you if you are actively looking for work, but don't see anything right now immediately that ScienceLogic has posted that would really suit your interests. Now, it's gonna, we're gonna let ScienceLogic know that you're interested. But the other thing that Power to Fly is gonna do is take some of the weight off of you in your job search. So if you join the follow network for a company, we are gonna let you know when they post new roles. So you don't have to keep checking back on job boards. You can even sign up for a customized weekly, job newsletter sent right to you. So definitely check out our website. We've got some really great functionality, stuff that we want to, we want to make your job search process easier, y'all. We want to be there for you at every stage of your career. So let's get through the part that nobody tends to like, which is job seeking, and get onto the part where y'all are developing and growing in your careers. So absolutely check out ScienceLogic. I very much recommend it. If you got further questions on that, please feel free to send them along in the group chat here. Now, last but not least, super excited to introduce our guest today. So Jasmina Muller has a proven track record as a leader in the channel for over 25 years. Now, she's currently ScienceLogic's Vice President of Global Channel Sales. Now, Jasmina has been an active member of the Alliance of Channel Women for the past 6 years, where she currently serves on the board as their Vice President. Jasmina is also the founding member for the Los Angeles chapter of Chief, a private network designed specifically for women leaders, rising VP level through CEO, to strengthen their experience in the C-suite, to cross-pollinate power across industries, and to affect change from the top down. Jasmina, we are so happy to have you join us on the stage today. Is there anything else that you think our audience should know?
Yeah, if you hear my dogs, I apologize ahead of time, just letting you know. They tend to enjoy being a part of my call. So if they come up, I'm giving you a fair warning. But in all seriousness, I am really excited about this session today and just talking about what's really near and dear to my heart, which is mentoring. Not just me, but also myself being a mentee with quite a few mentors, which we could get into in a minute. But really excited to kind of be interactive here, really understanding everything and kind of taking it from there.
Excellent. Cannot wait. Now, last flag I have for each of you. What we're going to be doing here is, we're going to go through the questions that you all had submitted. Now, since you took time out of your day to be here with us live, we want to make sure that we reward you for that. So first thing, I want all of you to take a second here, pat yourselves on the back, give yourself a little happy dance, whatever is your thing, because y'all are taking a time, an hour out of your day to do something for yourselves. So that is awesome. We are incredibly supportive of that. So you all should feel very proud of yourselves for doing that. But the other thing is, we want the time that you spend with us to be impactful, to be worth it. So if you have questions, ask them. If you submitted a question during the, during registration and you're not sure if we're going to get to it, ask it, send it in the chat thread. If we talk about a term or an idea or something that you want us to break down or dive deeper into, let us know. I want to get you answers. I can't get them if I don't know what questions y'all want to ask. Exactly. So send them in the group chat. You can also DM me if you would like to keep your questions or comments anonymous. No worries either way. All right, so to get us started here, let's talk about why mentorship is essential for career development. What do you think it has the power to do?
Honestly, I think it really comes down to, everyone always says, do you really need a mentor? And I'm like, well, depends. What are you trying to do? Are you thinking of growth within your career? You need to understand the path and the journey of what you're taking. It's always good to find someone to talk to about that journey, hear about it from someone who's already probably gone through it and what you're trying to accomplish. My first and foremost is always do not go at it alone, because you're going to doubt yourself and your abilities of that growth. And I say that because I've done the same thing. How many times, I don't know if you guys can do it in the chat, raise your hand, whatever, but how many times have you looked at a job opening and it says, here are the qualifications? I can tell you right now, 7 out of 10 times I'm like, oh, no, I'm not qualified. You know what? Wrong answer. You cannot sit there and go, I don't know how to do this. I don't know. That's what the mentor is there for. That mentor can really sit there and talk to you about it and go, well, why do you feel that way? I can tell you 9 out of 10 times my mentors have said, Jasmina, really? you're already doing this, you're already doing this, and you need to tweak this, but guess what? That's how you learn. And that's the biggest thing that you need to understand from a career development perspective. That's what that mentor is there to bring you up, make you understand that this is what you are capable of doing. So don't go at it alone, as my biggest thing.
All right. So then how do we decide if and when we need one? I'm on like probably like my 5th career at this point, like different industries. And really, I mean, like I graduated in 2008 into a terrible job market. This is what we had to do to survive. So I know that I have been in so many situations where it's like, well, I know nothing about this industry, but I might also not be here in 60, 90, 180 days. So how can we assess for ourselves if we want and or need a mentor?
It's funny you say that. So I wish when I came out of high school and college that I had a mentor back then, because I can tell you right now, my 17-year-old daughter, I think, has changed her idea of what she wants to be when she grows up. And I remember those days too, but it's the same thing in your professional career as well. Like, you're already in your career, but yet you're thinking, well, do I really want to do this? I can tell you right now, I've been in the telco, SaaS, IT industry for 20 plus years. But I started, believe it or not, I actually went to the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandise. I thought I wanted to be an apparel fashion designer and merchandising. Lo and behold, no, that's not what I got into. I got into sales, completely different. And like I said, if I had a mentor back then, I think I would have learned it a lot sooner. For today in our careers, there's so many different things going on around there. If you don't have a mentor to kind of help and guide you in that manner, you're going to just keep going and going, no, not knowing what to do. I know that I've got like 3 or 4 mentors, and in the course of the last, I'd say 4 or 5 years, actually, no, 6 years. I've been in the channel for about 6 years. I've always been on the direct sales for 20 plus years. I literally got in because of an individual who believed in me and said, look, I've heard, through recommendation, through referrals, that you can do this, you can do this. And I kind of thought to myself, I'm like, this guy's joking. There's no way I can do this. And he actually mentored me through the entire process. He led me into how to get it done. And I think the biggest thing is listening and being surrounded by individuals who are smarter than you, because that really does help also from a mentorship perspective. I literally have learned so much from each of those different mentors that I was like, yeah, I need to now really kind of dig deep into which one of those mentors can help me in different projects.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a really interesting concept too, because, one of the things that I feel like when people think of mentorship, they think of having a mentor, right? They think of like just one. And it usually is wrapped up in some idea of like a lot of formality, and these are some of the things that we're trying to get people to understand, that it doesn't have to necessarily be like you thought, right? And so we did actually have a couple questions coming in from the chat here. Monica had asked, can a coach be a mentor?
I mean, it depends. I mean, to me, it would be like, okay, what's the coach currently doing? Are you talking about first thing I think about coach is athletic. So I would probably want to ask, is that coach something that you're dealing with on an athletic side, or coach meaning coaching you
like through, a career coach or
yeah. So I want to like define a little bit more, but I would say, why not? I mean, if that person's been there for you in coaching different aspects of your career, I mean, I would even ask them and say, you know what, you've been coaching me. I consider you my mentor. Would you agree? I can guarantee you they'd probably turn around and go, you know what, that's a good point. To me, it's one in the same. It just really kind of depends on what they have been doing for you currently and what are you trying to accomplish in addition to. So
yeah, that's a good point. Okay. Mary is asking, do you need 3 to 4 mentors? I need to get in on that pathway. Investing in a mentor is self-investment. All right. So 3 to 4, do you feel like that's the sweet spot, or do you think that there's room for more or less at the table?
For me, I think I have 4. I've got 2 men and I've got 2 women. If I add another one, oh my gosh, then I'm going to make a career out of just being mentored. It depends on your time, honestly. But I think
what do you do for a living? I'm professionally mentored. For what? I'm mentored.
Yeah, no. It really depends on what are you trying to accomplish. Like, to give you an example, when I first started with a mentor, I was like, okay, this is great. It was more around learning around how the channel sales environment worked, the ecosystem of partnerships. How do I go out there and make better relationships? How do I grow my brand? There's so many different ways to take a look at it. I have one of the individuals, one of the women I work with, she mentors me, is around my brand. How do I increase my brand awareness as an individual? She's done this for 3 or 4 years. Then another mentor helps me in how to build proper channel programs. And that individual has been teaching me for quite some time. And so I keep learning little bits and pieces from her. Then the male side, I learn, okay, I need to be a little more aggressive, but without being aggressive. So they teach me that kind of, we keep seeing it out there. How do you get that seat at the table as a woman in a man's world? And so you got to learn. And that's what I was trying to say is I literally surround myself by smarter people so I could learn from them, which in the end, I feel like they've been mentoring me. A lot of them go, no, I haven't been mentoring you. I've just been kind of explaining how it's done. I said, yeah, but you don't realize that you've been kind of mentoring me. And then another individual kind of helps me kind of encompass all of it together and what path I want to do next. So it really comes down to each mentor has a specific strength. Not everybody's going to have the same aspirations for you. They're not going to have the same line of what you're looking to do. Each one has a strength. I can be honest with you, I haven't had one that has been a weakness. And I think it's just based off of really kind of engaging with my industry and really seeing what each and every one of them do. Everybody has, I should say, mostly everybody has some type of social media. I can tell you right now, I'm not on Facebook, never have been. My social media is LinkedIn. So everybody that I see on LinkedIn, I learn from and I reach out to them and ask them for help. So it really comes down to what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to make, and you touched on this as well when you talked about kind of the different things that you get from your mentors. You don't need someone to be a one-stop shop, just like the person that if you are looking at multiple mentors, you don't necessarily need somebody who's in the C-suite. That might not be the kind of guidance that you need.
Yep. Spot on. I mean, if you're not wanting to grow to the C-level, why would you go to a mentor that, unless you want to go to the C-level, I'm not trying to say you don't, you can still gain little bits and pieces from each of them, but it just depends on how and what you're trying to accomplish as part of your growth in that career.
Totally kind of left field question. Where do you think your career would be if you did not have that mentorship?
Wow, that's a very good question. I would probably say, you know what? I know that I would still be focused on trying to grow, but I think it would be that much harder. I think I always tell my team, why work harder? Work smarter.
Yeah.
Do something that, it's like, I hear so many people going, oh my God, I had a 15-hour day today. And I'm thinking, well, why did you have a 15-hour day today? Was it productive? Did you get what you needed to get done? No, I still have more to do. And it's like, okay, well, there are times, don't get me wrong, I have 15-hour days, but I think I take
those are the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, you kind of take a look at everything and go, okay, you just had your mentor meeting a couple weeks ago as an example. And I did tell them, I was like, I'm overworked, I'm this, that, whatever the case may be. They'll sit there and be like, okay, you need to take that and produce it in the sense of breaking it down to little tiny pieces, chunks of pieces. I think someone told me once, how does an elephant, I can't remember this is the funny part. I can't remember the whole thing, but it was like,
how does a snake swallow a kangaroo?
Thank you. It's in little pieces. You
One
can't
bite
do it
at a time.
Yeah. And I remember my first mentor said, you're going to want to just go all in and say, I can do it all. And you can't do that. You need to start taking a look at it and really, bring it down to small pieces. And that's what each mentor kind of helps you too. And kind of guiding you and saying, here's what you should do. And a lot of my mentors have known me for 6, 7, 8, 10 years. So they know
Wow.
what I can do and what I, not that I can't, but what I need to take time on.
Yeah. No, I think that's a very good thing to call out. A lot of people are asking the same kind of question in the chat. Can an individual be successful in life without a mentor? And I mean, if you're following the Jasmina model, yeah, but it's just going to take you a little longer.
Yeah.
It's not that you can't get there on your own, but
Yeah.
most people don't, so it's okay.
And it really comes down to, if you're complacent with where you're at and you're happy and you're doing everything that you want to do, then by all means continue to do it.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get that, one step above and say, you know what, now I'm having trouble doing this.
Yeah.
You know what? That's when you need that mentor to kind of guide you and help you take those little steps. I mean, I just had someone last week said, hey, Jasmina, I need to schedule another meeting with you. I've completed my first task. I've completed that challenge that we talked about. I'm now ready for the next one. Can we schedule some time? I'm like, of course. It's the best feeling knowing you sat there and they kind of came with you. What I always tell them is come with three things. What are the 3 things you want to accomplish? And then we kind of break it down. And she said, I'm ready for the next one. So I'm like, okay, let's schedule some time. And so it's just a great feeling knowing that challenge that we talked about, a few months ago, she's accomplished it. It's a huge task. And then to accomplishment, oh my gosh, it's the best feeling. It's the best feeling ever.
Yeah, of course. Oh, I mean, let's be real. Like, I feel like a lot of people hesitate to ask people to be their mentors or to approach people about this because they're not quite sure how to. Or they don't know what they want, actually. They don't know what they need. You hear mentorship, but that's it. So how can we identify mentorship opportunities in our lives? Are there certain people that are, more that we should be looking more at or less? How do you advise people to make that initial first connection with a potential mentor?
I would say, depending on the industry you're in, there's always going to be someone that has had the experience more than, and in this case, like my mentors have been in the industry for far more and far longer than I have. And so I just reached out directly to them and I'm like, look, I watch you on LinkedIn. Some of the posts that you have, some of the information, the materials that you're posting, I want to understand it more. I want to be able to go ahead and take that time. Do you have the time? I'm not asking once a week. I'm asking to get your experience. How did you get to where you're at? What are you doing? What have you done? What am I not doing? Literally to the point I'm asking all the questions. It's something that I strive for. It's kind of like that. For those that are moms and dads and have children, they constantly ask questions. Well, guess what? It's because they want to know. They want to know the answer. They're not going to know unless they ask. And kind of like you said in this call, ask the questions. We're not going to know if we don't ask them. So I know with my mentors, I am, constantly asking, even on the side, I'll text them out of the blue and I'll be like, okay, here's what I'm challenged with today. Can you help me figure this out? And they'll be like, sometimes we'll joke around. They'll be like, really? You don't know the answer to that? I'm like, no. And they're like, okay. They'll break it down, but in a very, like in a fun way, not like, I can't believe you don't know that.
Like not shame-based learning.
Exactly. It's reassuring me saying, okay, remember this project. And they'll kind of refresh my memory. Like, well, what did you do then? So it's almost like they're guiding you and kind of refreshing, going, yes, you know how. You just got to get that. It's either that you're so your day could be so impactful and you're sitting there going, oh my gosh, all of a sudden, and I'm sure we all had this, your brain is like, oh my God, I can't remember what I did. How did I do this? And you go to your mentor and they're like, no, it's okay. Here, let me guide you. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's right. And that's what they're there for too. And I'll have some of those, mentees come to me and go, Jazz, I'm in a situation. Here's the challenge that I'm faced with. What would you do in this situation? Sometimes I'll counter that and say, well, what are you thinking? And all they really need is that ability to just be able to like blurt it out and just talk about it. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you turn it around and you're like, you know what? There you go. And then that reassurance happens and they're like, oh yeah. It's that feeling of reassurance that they're there to back you up, to support you in that manner.
Yeah. Oh, I like that a lot. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So if we are trying to make that initial contact with a potential mentor, how do you suggest we approach that? A lot of people wanted to know, how you can start that conversation knowing that, this person might not have enough time for you, or they might just not be interested. How do you advise making that initial contact?
So let's just say, like in the channel industry, I look at some of the top channel chiefs, some of the top executives within that partner ecosystem. I would reach out, connect with them within LinkedIn as an example. And then try to schedule some time on the side and say, look, kind of like I was saying, I've been watching you. I've been noticing, I'm very intrigued with what you do, whether it's some of them actually do some stuff on the side, giving back to the community. Or some that I've kind of talked to, they're like, they pay it forward. And you kind of want to understand, what do they do and how do they, first of all, how the heck do they find the time? And you kind of sit there and you talk to them and be direct. Just say, look, I am focused on growing within my career. I would love to get some feedback and see if you have time to sit with me and hopefully be my mentor. I would be shocked if someone came back and said, I don't have time. And quite honestly, if someone was to come to me, I'd be honored for someone to come to me and ask for, to be a mentor for them. That to me is a huge honor.
Oh, yeah. Somebody thinks you have your mess together enough to show them how to clean up theirs.
Yes.
Yes.
It's an honor for me because two things. I'm there to help them also grow, but you know what? I'm also there to learn from them. I have had all the
louder for the people in the back.
I no joke, all the mentees that I have, every single conversation I've had with them, I learned something from them every time. And especially now with the younger generation, perfect example, my daughter, I am learning so much from her. She's 17 years old. As much as she gets on my freaking nerves, I love her to death. But you know what? I learned from her and her group because there's so much going on that, the girls these age and even younger, the bullying that happens, you've got to be there to help them. You've got to be there to support them. Well, guess what? We have that in as we're older as well. It's not bullying. It's more around not understanding the person and assuming. You can't assume. There's so much going on with everybody in their careers. You got to understand what you can do to support them. Just like I said, with my mentees, when we're talking, it's confidential, first of all. Whatever we're talking, it's amongst each other. And we open up. We literally open up to hear, why do you need a mentor? Well, here's what's happening. Here's what I need. And sometimes even that mentor will be like, you know what, I can help you with this, but let me introduce you to so-and-so who can also support you in this manner. Every mentor that I've had has always said, you know what, maybe you should also talk to this individual because they've gone through this before. Whether, even if that individual that you're already mentoring with has gone through it, they're like, you know what, let me introduce you to this person so you can see another side.
That's good mentoring right there.
It's a great little group of individuals that, you kind of, it's the best way is just be direct. Reach out to them and say, look, I would love to be a mentee to learn more from you.
Okay. We got a couple questions in the chat thread here, so I want to make sure we go back and catch some of these as well.
Yep.
So somebody wrote in saying that they noticed that you've talked about, asking that question, what are you trying to achieve to determine who should be your mentor? Should somebody also consider other factors like personality traits and mindset to find the right connection? Or do you think it's less important the connection you have with that person and more important the skills and the information that you can exchange?
I think it's crucial that the personality and the trait matches. If you're going to reach out to someone that you're like, yeah, everyone knows them, but you could tell, you could tell by different individuals on social media, business or personal, if you feel that there could be a connection there. And if there isn't, why would you want to reach out to that individual? Because you're not going to, your whole point about finding a mentor is to learn from them. Your whole point isn't to say, oh my God, I want to go to that person because everybody knows them, but yet there's nothing in common. I mean, why would I go, this is going to be a joke, but why would I go to a mentor that's, I don't know, in the entertainment industry? I don't plan to be an actress or anything anytime soon. So I don't know if I'd want to, go into that Hollywood industry type of mentor. I mean, that's neither here or say it would, if you feel like you want to based off of the brand and what have you, by all means go for it. I'm saying you definitely want to match the personality with you. I'm a very outgoing person. If I'm going to find a mentor that's very subdued, talks the same, I can't. I mean, I need to have somebody with a personality and have it. And every one of mine are very professional, a lot of fun to talk to because we can connect at that level. We can connect and we can, talk to each other openly without judging each other. So that's another thing too, is making sure that you fit. If, for example, if you've been with a mentor now for, I don't know, a year, 2 years, whatever the time frame is, and you feel like, there's just nothing there. I think that was one of the questions I remember seeing, is how do I go about finding a new mentor without disappointing the current mentor?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, quite honestly, it's, hey, you talk to the mentor and saying, you know what, I've had a great time with you. I've learned this, because I'm sure in that year or whatever time frame, you must have learned something. But the point that could be made here is, look, you're starting to grow. You're starting to see that now you're looking for that next challenge or looking to be into another type of mentorship program. It doesn't mean that that person's not good. It just means you've grown and they've done their job. Now it's time to look for a new one. You could even ask them and say, look, I think we've done great. I'm growing. I would love to see what other types of mentors that are out there. Would you be able to suggest some?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's like a good manager, right? A good manager should want you to grow beyond them. The manager wants the people under them to keep developing, even when they not necessarily outpace them, but you know what I mean? Like you should outgrow a manager, and a manager should support you through that. But as we all know, that's not, we don't live in a perfect world. Not everybody's managers like that.
No,
but yeah, it is a really, this is something that is reasonable to ask of people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the other thing is a good mentor should actually, within their first couple of meetings, is understand the current mentee's role at their current job, as an example. What are they trying to accomplish in, I don't know, 1, 3, 5, or 10 years? What's the culture at the current job? Are they happy? Are they looking? And usually from there, I'll let them know, at any time you could text me, whatever challenges you're facing. Take those, chunks of goals that you're trying to accomplish and just literally take it slow. I think the mentor really also has to understand who that mentee is, because if they're only there for a short period of time, well, guess what? Then that mentor knows it's time to move on also, and go ahead and say, hey, look, I think the next step for you is to go to this mentor. Let me introduce you to that person. So it's a two-way thing. It's not just the mentee kind of going, okay, what's next? The mentor should also be able to, see that as well.
I like that. We did have a question in the chat. Fanayan had asked, can a mentor be someone that you admire from afar, like someone you don't necessarily have a relationship with, but you follow their work? Are we, is this kind of getting us down into the idea of the difference between role models and mentors, or how would you answer this question?
I mean, if you have been following or watching, watching someone on LinkedIn that's within your, profession, in your career, in your industry, and you don't know them, I would say, you know what, this is how I started. And it kind of reminds me when I first started, I just started following them, commenting on their LinkedIn posts. Because when you start to see them doing more, there's a lot of these individuals that will be on LinkedIn posting things, based off of the industry. And a lot of times you'll see them saying, so I want to hear what your thoughts are. Why not respond? Put your information there, because once they start seeing more and more of you responding, they're going to be intrigued to, understand who you are and learn a little bit more about you. By that time, you know what? Reach out to them and saying, I'm really enjoying your posts. You don't know me, but I'm really intrigued because blah, blah, blah. This is what I do. It kind of resonates with me, but I'd like to learn more about it. Would you be open to a mentorship with me? If they say no, do not take it as a negative. Maybe they just don't have time because that's how busy they are. But I would say that, you know what, it'd be great if they can go ahead and provide someone who can. And I could tell you right now, I would be shocked if they didn't. But again, I would be surprised also if they said they didn't have time. Maybe what they can do is provide a little bit of guidance, and then from there kind of say, okay, I think your proper role, or excuse me, your proper mentor could be this individual. Let me introduce you to someone. But don't think twice about not reaching out to them directly. I did it, and now I have 4 of them. So
Do you recommend the cold emailing route? Obviously, as somebody in sales, this is not a point of concern for you, but many of us do not enjoy cold emails, writing or receiving.
Yeah.
Do you recommend them?
I would say no on the email, but yes on LinkedIn. Because an email to me is after the fact. It just, if you're on LinkedIn or any other social media type platform from a business, professional perspective, they know that you're on there, that you're, reading some of their material, understanding what they're doing. It's a little more personal in that manner. Emailing just out of the cold blue and saying, hey, I'd like you to become my mentor. First, guess what I would do? I'd look at their name, go on LinkedIn to see who they are. I do that every time. Even when I'm out with, family or friends, and they're like, oh, do you know so-and-so? I'm like, hold on, let me look. I go on LinkedIn. I don't go on Instagram or anything like that. It's just, if I'm going to know somebody, I want to see from a professional perspective as well. And if I'm going to mentor them, I want to know what their background is.
Yeah. Okay. Now for those of us who maybe don't have like a formal mentorship program through our workplaces, are there any mentorship related like networking events or, things that, events that you recommend people participate in to find potential mentoring opportunities?
So I have not gone into any mentoring type networking activities. However, for those that are on this call who may know me, I am at a lot of networking events, whether it's for business purposes with my partner ecosystem and being there and, supporting them and advocating for their business, or if I'm at any of my women's networking. For example, this week I'm going to be at 2 events. I'm going to see how I'm going to do this, 2 events at one time. It's going to be interesting. One of which is the Chief Network event that I'll be at. And clearly all of us are there and we always catch up in understanding what we're doing, where we're at, how we're doing, whatever. I don't know if I call that as a mentoring type of activity, but I would say I'm with others that we always kind of guide each other. We always talk about what's happening. And we, in our little network, we start talking about and giving feedback and insight. But I have not physically been to an actual mentoring type of event. So if there is one, please let me know, because that would be interesting to be a part of as well. I like I said, I think the women's networking to me is like a mentoring, but again, it's also networking with all the individuals that I work with, as well as I'm a part of with the networking.
Okay, excellent. Hold on here. Typing up responses in the chat. Love it. Okay, so we had a lot of people that also are within the sales industry that wrote in with questions. This person said, I've been working in sales for over 35 years. Should seasoned professionals still aspire to connect with mentors for guidance during those pre-retirement years?
So I'm going to ask a question against the question. Are they done growing in their career? Because a lot of us talk about retirement, but then all of a sudden we're really not ready. Because I guess it comes down to also, if you're looking to retire with a bang, are you looking to retire and make a bold statement as you get into retirement? And if the answer is yes, then absolutely. Why not work, with a mentor that can guide you in assisting and showing you that all those years, how hard you've worked, and now showcase that. It's going to be that much more impactful. And if you feel like you're trying to quiet it down and not make too much of a splash, well, the answer is still yes. And you know why? It's, even though you may be getting close to that retirement, wouldn't you want to have someone support you in that new journey? I mean, many may think, I don't know, they only have a few years left and they're just going to slow it down. And it's quite the opposite. Now the fun begins. How are you going to leave your legacy behind to that next generation? Think about that. You've gone through so many years of doing the best you can and showcasing that. Why not, end that up with a bang? I mean, showcase what your legacy is about, what you did to that next generation. You know, you want to portray that success. You want the company that you're getting ready to leave, show that you were the best. And I'm going to make, this is going to be the fun part. It's going to take somebody else to fit those big shoes now. I mean, think about it in that role perspective, and having a mentor support you in that. I think to me, it's crucial. At least for me, I would. If I was ready for retirement age, yeah, I'd be like, okay, what's the next best thing for me now?
Yeah, I think that's excellent advice. Especially if you are at that coming up on that turning point of your career, that distance, the age that you decide to do that is going to change depending on every person individually, let alone, different industries or different fields might have age requirements or age ceilings. But yeah, I mean, this is something that you haven't done before in your life. Why wouldn't you want to have somebody help you through it?
But I think in addition to that, guess what? If that mentor is there to kind of guide you in that next step, which is retirement, you never know. Once you retire, what else do you think you're going to do? You may not be fully retired. What if that mentor goes, hey, what was your role? What have you done for the past 30, 40 years? And I'm going to make it up, but, I've been in sales. I've been successful. I was always at President's Club. I was always doing this, that, and the other. Well, how about helping that next generation and how and why you did it?
Yes.
Now you're giving back. Now you're paying it forward. So you may not be really retired, people. You may actually now be helping others, and you may actually be that mentor or that role model.
Yeah, you might be that person. Like, it's one of the things we talk about on these chats a lot. Like, whether you are the only in that room or the first in that room, the biggest thing is not being the last, right? You have to keep pulling people up behind you because, for me personally, obviously not everybody feels like this. I consider it my responsibility. I have a certain amount of privilege in the spaces that I occupy. It is my responsibility to make sure that everybody gets a seat at that table because I have a certain amount of privilege that I can throw around.
Yep, exactly. Couldn't say it better.
And it also kind of puts a good like kind of light, not necessarily light at the end of the tunnel, but like kind of gives you the sets you up for some milestones and to realize that like as you are learning things from your mentors, you might be able to mentor other people along this line later on. Something that they might tell you could be, it wasn't super impactful for you, but you pass on that information or that advice, and suddenly somebody else's career's changed. So,
and that's, I think, me being both the mentor and mentee, that's exactly what I've learned from my mentors. And I kind of pass that same message down to my mentees and learning from them and what they're doing and what they're looking to accomplish. And you kind of hear it and going, yeah, I've been through that. And then all of a sudden you kind of turn it around and you hear what their responses are and you're going, wow, I didn't think about it that way. Mm-hmm. And you take it in for yourself. And like I keep saying, all my calls, I'm always learning something from each of them. So
yeah, absolutely. Okay. So once we have, we found a mentor or multiples, how can we make sure that we are getting the most out of that relationship? Well, I want to know, like, how do you structure your meetings? What are the formalities of that? Tell us what those meetings look like for you, at least.
So I think for me, what I usually do is, like I said, is what their current role is. Are they happy? What are they trying to accomplish? There's got to be a goal. You can't, as a mentee, you can't just get on a call and say, hey, I want to be a mentee of yours. Okay, well, what are you trying to accomplish? I want to grow my career. Okay, well, what do you want to accomplish in the next year? What are some of the challenges you're being faced with right now in your career? What's the culture like at your company? So I literally ask direct questions and trying to understand what they're going through. And then as we break it down, a lot of them also kind of go down at a personal level. Like, I feel like when I'm applying, as an example, I feel like I'm applying for a job that I really can't do. Well, why do you feel that way? Well, because the specifications, okay, those are specifications. What do you currently do that can go ahead and answer those specifications, as an example? So we really break it down, kind of like I said, into smaller chunks. Instead of saying, hey, I want to grow my career, it's like, okay, well, when do you want to get to what level? If you're at a director level now, what's the time frame that you feel like you want to get to a VP by next year? Okay, well, we got a lot to do. You can't just assume, hey, I want to be at a certain level, in a year. It takes time. It really takes time based off of what they're trying to accomplish. And we really sit down, and I ask a lot of questions where they go ahead and give me the answers. We break it down. We try to understand their goals. Have they been challenged in some of those goals that they feel like they're just stuck and they just can't go beyond it? We really take it down to details, and they then take that, and kind of like I said, last week, I saw one of my mentees and she's like, hey, I accomplished that challenge we talked about and I'm ready for the next one. I'm like, okay. So we keep in touch, whether it's by text, by actual meetings. I think on average, I'll do 1 or 2 calls a month between 2 to 3 people. And we usually take 30 to 45 minutes. Sometimes it takes an hour, just depends on, what's going on right now with their lives. But I make sure I take that time and it's focused on them because that's what they're looking for. I never sit there and multitask. It's just not right. You need to take that time. They're taking the time with you, you take the time with them.
I think that's really important, right? Like, I think that there's so many things that we all try to multitask through everything.
Oh yeah.
And it becomes this like, yes, my attention's divided, but I'm trying to make things work and so are you.
Uh-huh.
And so it becomes this thing where you're like, oh, they're multitasking, must be very busy and important. It's like, yeah, but like certain things don't call for that,
Yeah,
certain things
exactly.
you need to just, sit down, reserve the time, be focusing on the one thing.
Yeah. And it's when they reach out and they're like, hey, let's say I, talk to them one week and all of a sudden the following week, hey, I really need help. I'm like, oh my gosh, is everything okay? How'd the call go? Yeah, it didn't go as planned. I'm like, okay, let's try to find some time to talk and talk it out. What do you feel you could have done differently? Where do you think you did the best, but you still feel you didn't get what you wanted out of that call? There's so much around it. It really is not just for me to listen. It's also for me to talk and let them know what my feedback is. A lot of times mentors think they're just there to listen, and the mentee's like, so what do you think? So it's a two-way thing. You can't assume just the listening, even though listening is important, but you got to be there to help. That's what they're there. That's what they're, asking from you.
Yeah. That is a really crucial point, right? If you are going to be a mentor, it's not just the time, it's the expertise. Like, do you have it to share, or are they asking for help in some area that you are not going to be really that impactful for them?
Yeah, exactly. Very well. Yeah.
All right. So we talked about this a little bit earlier, but one person had written in saying that they have been working with a mentor for the last 2 years, but they're starting to feel like the relationship is no longer productive. Do you have any advice for navigating this delicate conversation with our mentor? We touched on this briefly, but I wanted to make sure that we made sure we covered everything here.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think is most important when you're having that conversation?
So this is going to be direct, but if you're not getting what you were hoping or expecting out of this current mentor, it's up to you to move on and find someone else. It could also be that the mentor is not sure of your goals, your aspirations, and maybe they are on overboard, kind of like we were talking about, and just don't have the time, which unfortunately can happen. But I would hope that the mentor can be at least candid about it and even share a new mentor to work with. But honestly, if you're not fulfilled with that mentor, move on. You're not obligated to just stay with one. And like I said, I mentioned before, I have like 2 to 3. And that's probably, it really comes down to having those 2 to 3 that are best, that will see the difference in each and learn different aspects based on your goals overall. But move on. If you're not getting anything that you don't feel is of value, I would say move on. And if you feel like, you really didn't clearly define some of your aspirations and goals, maybe try it one more time to see what happens. But if you've done what you needed to and providing that information, I would say move on.
Now, when you say, I just muted myself, sorry. So when you say move on, do you mean like have the conversation and then go on your merry way? Or are you talking like ghosting somebody or just letting the relationship kind of die out?
Do not. do not ghost. Do not ghost. If this is a professional mentor, do not be that one that people are going to say, well, I was mentoring this person and all of a sudden there's nothing there. No, be respectful because you know what? This is a business as well. You're there on a professional manner. You're there to get the professional help. Doesn't mean that you may be, but be the bigger person and just say, hey, you know what? I'm so glad that, you've been helping me here for the last couple of years. I feel like, I'm trying to see what the right words
You've
would
helped
be.
me grow so much, and now I'm
Yeah.
ready for a different stage in my career, and I can't help you. I
Exactly.
can't thank you so much for how you helped me get here.
Exactly. And then I would even ask and say, look, I think my next step is to diversify my mentoring, my mentorships, my mentor leaders. Who else would you recommend? I'm hearing that I shouldn't just have one mentor. I would love to have multiple. Do you recommend anybody? It could be different names. If someone asked me that, I'd be like, by all means, hey, because not every person's going to be the same. And that's why I have 3 or 4. And each of mine know I have 3 to 4. And now they'll probably even know more if they didn't know, but I do.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Now, all right. We've kind of walked through what it would be like to kind of go along that journey of trying to find a mentor. When did you realize that you were ready to start mentoring other people?
Wow. Literally when someone suggested that their employee be mentored by me, it was when it hit me. Like they said, hey, Jasmina, can you mentor my employee? And I'm like, wait, what? I was like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, like I said,
I'm an adult. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, wait, wow, okay. And then it kind of hit me and I was like, that's actually a pretty cool honor for someone else to see that. Because half the time I don't think we realize what we're doing even for ourselves as an impact to our career growth until someone else sees it. So, I mean, I didn't even think twice about it. Honestly, I think it was just trying to do the best I can to support this individual. And I thought, you know what, why not? It's not a competition. And as women, we tend to sometimes feel like we need to compete against each other and be one up, each other. And we should be supporting each other and helping each other grow, getting that seat at the table. And I'm not trying to make this more of a, D&I type of thing, but honestly, a lot of the times we do question and say, you know what, based on our qualifications, why not? Why not help anybody else? I don't care if it's a male or female. And the only way to do it is to support one another and share what we've done to grow. That's the only way it's going to happen. And it kind of goes back. If you've led a team and you have individuals, especially younger women, you got to guide them. You got to, they're going to appreciate that so much more. I keep talking about my daughter. As much as she's my daughter, I also see her as a young lady about to go to college and get her feet wet and realize this is the real world. And I'm trying to help and guide her in that way from a personal level. And I'm trying to put that aside from being her mom and trying to be a mentor. And a lot of times, if you are thinking about wanting to be a mentor, don't wait to be asked, because a lot of us are afraid to ask. And we're thinking, well, the mentor or experienced individual they're not going to have time for us, and maybe they don't deserve it or what have you. But it's quite the opposite. If you see a person with passion and wanting to grow, reach out to them and tell them the truth by saying, hey, I've been watching you grow. I've been seeing you, a lot of your posts, and give them that positive feedback, because it means that much more to them. And they know someone's watching. And I can guarantee you that they're going to reach out asking you to be their mentor. I mean, you may even want to be their mentee. I mean, imagine that. Learning from the other, which is what I was saying. I mean, that's what I'm doing now, is actually learning so much from my mentees. It's amazing.
I like that. All right. Off the cuff question. How do you think your mentorship has changed from the first person you ever mentored to the most recent?
A lot. And I think the main reason why is, my growth. And sometimes some of the feedback that I get from my mentor, And then just looking back, that first time that I actually mentored somebody and watching them grow, and then seeing certain aspects of how they're growing and how I've been growing as well because of the support that I get from my mentors. It's almost like, I'm not going to say it's night and day because it's not that drastic, because then that's kind of scary. I just think every time I'm with the mentee and or my mentor, I'm always changing something up and realizing, okay, you know what? Because every day the business changes. Every day is not the same. And so you've got to change. And a lot of people are afraid of change. They're afraid of what's going to happen. How am I supposed to change? How am I supposed to do that? And that's what I think the mentors and mentees help me as well. So
Yeah, of course. All right. So if someone in our audience is kind of at that precipice, right? They're about to take their first step as a mentor. What is your key advice for those people?
As being a mentor, honestly, I think it's a huge, proud moment knowing that you can give back. To me, that's giving back. If there's one way of trying to think, like I thought about this the other day, I'm like, I've done so much with my career and growing and what have you. I want to start giving back. It's now time. I'm not trying to be like, oh my gosh, I know everything. I don't. It's more about now let's go ahead and give back and giving that feeling of I've gone through this in my career. I've gone through this on the personal side, and how does that kind of interact, and where you can do that for others, I think is a huge step for each person individually. And I think if that you can do that, it goes to show that you're ready for that next step of giving back. It's just, to me, it's not, I don't even look at it as mentoring, but more just giving back to others that are looking to grow as well. So it's just accepting it and understanding, kind of like I said, when that individual came to me and said, hey, can you help? It makes you feel good knowing you're doing something right.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Okay, so we have about 3 minutes left in today's session. It always goes way faster than you think it's going to.
Yeah.
Right? So we asked Jasmina some questions about ScienceLogic. So let's talk about, you described the culture as a breath of fresh air. And your favorite part about working at ScienceLogic is the people and the technology. Why do you think that the culture is a breath of fresh air?
Because there's so many people there to support. I mean, my organization and the channel, we're revamping, we're kind of putting together a partner program. Not one person in this company has not come to me and said, what do you need to succeed? I mean, to feel that and the culture of always someone being there to help you and growing it and having that success for you, it's amazing.
I love that. Okay, what about your top tips for someone who's interviewing? Are these ScienceLogic specific, or are these applicable no matter where you're interviewing?
Anywhere. I mean, first and foremost, don't think that just because you're going for an interview that you shouldn't interview the company. I've learned over the years, and this is probably one of the biggest things, is everybody always goes, oh, I'm about to go into this interview. I'm getting interviewed, or I'm going to interview. I'm going to interview. Well, turn it around. You're interviewing because you know you can do this. So why not interview the company? What if it's not a good match for you? I mean, seriously, do not make the mistake many of us have done in the past. Interview the company. It's your interview is just as much as it is theirs. So be yourself, understand exactly what you're doing, and showcase that. That's what you're there for. You're interviewing because you know you can do it, and ask the same questions. There's no reason why you can't say no. I've said no quite a few times, and it's the best feeling. So
yes, loving all of this advice. All right, Jasmina, that's going to bring us to the end of time today. I want to make sure we end on time to respect everybody's calendars, but I just want to say huge thank you. It's been wonderful to get to know you and learn from you for the last hour. I really hope we get to do this again soon.
Yeah, no, thank you guys, honestly. And if anybody, is not connected with me on LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd be more than happy to, go beyond this as well.
I'll be shocked if you don't have double-digit notifications when you sign back into LinkedIn after this. I would be shocked. All right, y'all, I want to, as we close out here, I just want to say a big thank you to our audience members as well. Y'all came like prepared like crazy. You brought great questions, amazing interaction in the chat. I love seeing it. Thank you so much for coming today and for taking time out of your day to do something for you. You should be very proud of yourselves for that. I am proud of you, so you should be too. We have some great programming coming up in the rest of this week. Don't forget, we have our virtual job fair happening on Thursday, as well as our Diversity Reboot Veterans Focus Summit is on Wednesday. Come, even if you're not part of the military, active veterans, doesn't matter, you are still welcome. And we cannot wait to see you on another Power to Fly event soon. Have a safe, happy, healthy rest of your Monday, y'all.